Let's start by talking about the first time you met the mayor, because I love this story.
It was an interesting story. I was at a meeting at the Parkman House, the mayor's residence, and I was sitting up in front with Paul Evans, who was the police commissioner at the time, and somebody tapped me on the shoulder, and I turned around and it was Mayor Menino, and he said, the guy back there told me to tell you something, and he told me the story. So I went back to the guy afterwards and I said, did you know who that was? And he said, well, I didn't know. He was just sitting in the back. I didn't know who he was. So, I mean, the mayor was just delivering a message to me like any other person would do. He did not stand on ceremony. He was a really regular guy.
Which is who he was.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah.
So at the time, you were the chief in Lowell.
Right.
And it sounds like you became pretty close pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, the first day I was here, the mayor took me on a whirlwind tour of the city. We hit every neighborhood group. He introduced me to everybody that he thought I needed to know. And it was a very intense experience. I mean, we went from 7 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, day after day after day, until I had done the whole city. And that's the way he worked, though. He was very, very dedicated to his job.
What did you see in him going into those neighborhoods? Because that had to have been a very interesting experience. Here you are just starting the job with this man who is so intertwined in the lives of these people.
Right. I mean, he knows everyone by name. He knows who their kids are and where their spouses work, and he's so plugged into the neighborhoods. It was just an incredible experience, and that's why, you know, over the course of time that I worked for him, he never called an issue wrong. He could tell you exactly the way an issue was going to break and how it was going to play out in the city, and it was because of that deep knowledge of the individuals in the neighborhoods.
It was interesting, he made a living out of not being the fancy talker. In fact, he used that in some of his campaigns, but incredibly smart politically. Behind the scenes, he knew exactly which buttons to push.
He really did. He had a keen intellect. It wasn't just politics. He was a very smart man, and he got, because of the way he spoke, people would oftentimes not understand that. But if you didn't realize how smart he was, it was your mistake. It really was.
You sort of dismissed him at your peril.
Exactly, precisely, yep.
Let's talk a little bit about what happened immediately after the marathon bombing, because at that point, the mayor is actually in the hospital.
Right. And
doesn't want to stay there.
Right, he does not.
How did this play out?
Yeah, well, I called him as soon as I got the phone calls. Right after I called for backup from the different police agencies, I called the mayor and I told him what I knew. It was very limited, and I said I'd get back to him as soon as I get to the scene and make an assessment. And I didn't expect to see him leave the hospital, but within an hour he was at the command post being wheeled into the room and was with the governor and myself and all the other people responding on top of everything. What
did he say when he got there?
Well, we had a couple of, he was a tough boss, you know, and if he didn't like what you did, he'd let you know right up front. So that first encounter was, you know, why'd you shut the Red Sox down? And I said, well, you know, we went back and forth about that. But the truth of the matter is, he was incredibly dedicated and from a sick bed, pushed himself up and was engaged in every bit of that thing from the minute he arrived at the scene.
He was the boss, but it sounds like through that terrible event and how closely you worked together that week, I know you were sort of hand in hand in wanting the FBI to release the pictures. You sort of came together on that issue. Did you become, through that week, close friends?
Oh, yeah, we were close friends long before that.
Yeah.
That cemented our relationship. There's no question. I'll tell you this. I called that guy at 6 o'clock every morning, every day of the year. Christmas, New Year's, his birthday, my birthday. At 6 a.m., I was on the phone with him because he wanted to know what happened the night before. And of course, I had to get up at 5 to find out what happened the night before. So he was a dawn to dusk boss. He really was.